Good day to all of you. We'll continue with Biographia Literaria by Samuel Taylor Coleridge, chapter 17, which Coleridge uses to highlight the differences between his poetry, the way poetry ought to be in his vision, and that of Wordsworth. Now, Wordsworth has been highly recognized as a romantic poet, yet Coleridge favors his own individual style as the proper way to present poetry to the public. Whereas Wordsworth's work is simple and appeals to the common man, Coleridge prefers to complicate his poetry. Both poets rely on their imagination, but Coleridge relies more heavily upon it than does Wordsworth. Now, as I had said earlier in the chapter, Wordsworth, chapter 17, begins with Coleridge's criticism of Wordsworth's poetry as being beneath appropriate standards, especially with respect to his diction. And Coleridge has frowned upon Wordsworth's rustic approach because he believes in a hierarchy of language associated with poetry. Now, Coleridge in chapter 17 begins an examination of those statements in the preface to which he is not able to subscribe or agree with Wordsworth. Number one, Wordsworth contends or believes that the proper diction of poetry consists in the language of the real conversation of men under the influence of natural feelings. To this, Coleridge objects and points out that this can be applicable only to certain classes of poetry, and that too in a sense which has never been denied and doubted. But it can never be a rule of general application, and its practice for all classes of poetry is bound to be injurious or harmful. Number two, Wordsworth tells his readers that he has chosen rustic and low characters because, in that condition, the essential passions of the heart find a better soil in which they can attain their maturity, are less under restraint, and speak a plainer and more emphatic language. Why? Because in that condition of life, our elementary feelings or our basic feelings coexist in a state of greater simplicity and consequently may be more accurately comprehended and more forcibly communicated. Why? Because the manners of rural life germinate or originate from those basic or elementary feelings and from the necessary character of rural occupations, which are more easily comprehended or understood and are more durable. Number three, because in that condition, the passions of men are incorporated with the beautiful and permanent forms of nature. We'll continue next time.